Yo, what's going on, guys? All right. What is up, guys? It's a new week. Excited to see you guys all in here. What's up, Certified Turtle? What's up, Bull Runner? Kango, how's it going, man? JB, good to see you. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I know I did. And let's take a look at the charts here. All right. Let's remove as much of this as we can here. Let's see what we had first. So we know, we're closing our new weekly candle. We've retested the lows of this range here. Having a little bit of trouble getting back above 112. Let's zoom in a little bit. So we came down, retested our order block last week. We're maintaining our 4-hour bullish structure with our current 4-hour strong low down here at around 109,300. So that's definitely going to be the level to watch if we're going to remain bullish. We would expect this 109,300 level to hold. So let's do some more local analysis here. So it looks like we came down to our golden pocket here and we swept that low over the weekend. So we flipped our 15-minute back bullish with the break of this more locally. Kind of flagging out here. I have to see what happens in the new day. Let's take a look at some of our indicators here, and then we can go into some more key levels. This music is distracting me. 1 second. Okay. So Market Cipher on the daily, we do have money flow continuing to come out, but we do see the VWAP is starting to get some nice curvature back to the upside, which is good. Let's look at our 12 hours. So we had that 12-hour money flow cross. This is weekend data, so take it with a grain of salt, but things are kind of stalling out here, going sideways. We should see kind of what direction Bitcoin wants to go based on what happens with the 4-hour structure here. One thing that I did want to point out to you guys, so if we did this on stream, I believe it was Thursday, but we were looking at the gold pair here, and we had set an alert down here at this daily order block. It was like 30.62. So we did get that tap on the 4-hour. So We got a nice bounce out of there. What time was that? It was Saturday at 4 o'clock. If we look at Bitcoin there, Saturday at 4 o'clock. Yeah, that was kind of this little bottom here. So it would definitely make sense to get a nice bounce out of that order block. Maybe we could finally flip 4-hour structure here on the gold pair, since we haven't really managed to do that. The 4-hour structure high would be up here at like 31.86. So we already set an alert on that high back at the same time we set the alert at this order block. So we'll just kind of move that, right? So if we just move that to our new 4-hour high, I believe that was a 12-hour high when we originally set it, right? We can leave that there, because that is a 12-hour break of market structure. But we would also be breaking 4-hour now if we come up and take this high as well, which is really nice. One interesting thing, if we do sweep the low one more time, so on the 5-minute time frame, we didn't necessarily tap the level exactly, but on the, let's see, we probably did on the 1 minute. Yeah, we didn't really on the 1 minute. This chart can print kind of weird, but on the 4-hour, it shows we did tap it. Generally, I would consider that to be tapped, but just say if we do come down and sweep the low, and the 5-minute does touch this order block, and like we're not, you know, crashing or whatever, and we start to recover, I would generally expect a good bounce out of that too. There's not really that much room on the 4-hour if we're going to hold 4-hour structure, and there's other bullish points like it's a full moon this week, right? We've got oscillators pointing in the right direction. If we look at indicators here on the gold pair as well, you can see we're getting double buy signals in a third over sold ring on Cipher Matrix as well. Still have a pretty fat bearish EMA situation, so it would, you know, take a little bit to get going here. But if you kind of see this EMA start to turn teal, I would say that's a pretty good signal that the pump is going to be on. But yeah, so we don't actually have that much room on the 4-hour if we are going to remain bullish here. If we're going to remain bullish, we would want this strong low to hold at like 109,300. Or at the very least, we'd want to see if the 4-hour comes down there, we'd want to see an SFP reclaim and then go. So it'll be an interesting Monday, see what happens. So a level to keep in mind, so if we do sweep this low again, kind of being confluent with what we were looking at on the gold chart, right, would be this 886 level, kind of this last level of defense for this 4-hour structure, be like 109,748. So with that in mind, if we zoom into like lower time frame structure, let's see if we have any higher time frame structures. So on our 1-hour high is still up here. So again, that makes me think that we could sweep down one more time. Let's see if we're holding bullish momentum here. Not that we have to, right? Because structurally, the 4 hours in an uptrend and the 15-minute just broke bullish, right? So, but we are kind of losing momentum here. We may just bounce from underneath the 200. We probably already had that retest on the 15-minute. Yeah, we already had that retest on the 15-minute. I would watch this 15-minute. If this 50 EMA starts to go back under the 200, that would likely be a good indication that you're coming down to at least test here, right? So we have this area of untested demand down here. Which we would expect to get a reaction out of, right? So, and that would kind of take some of the liquidity from the weekend, right? So it would sweep everyone who's long, whose stop losses are below either of these two lows. We could come down. We could look to get a bounce there. With the current fib situation, let's see. That would be like a 786 bounce. So that would definitely be a key area to watch. Now, what would we be looking for if we come down there? Well, first, the 15-minute has to flip bearish, which for that to happen, you would have to lose this low here. So until this low breaks, there's not really much to worry about, right? But if you do break this low on a 15-minute time frame, then you are flipping your 15-minute structure bearish, right? So if that happens, you likely see a short down into this area. You're likely not going to get the risk to reward to take that short. Yeah, you would have to like wait for the 15 minutes of break and then take like a golden pocket short, targeting at like an SFP of the range with your TP1 down here. That would give you like a 4-to-1, like almost a 5-to-1. So if you're looking for a short, again, this is on the condition, remember, that we get a 15-minute close below here, and then it's just, what is the risk to reward that you're comfortable with, right? If you're comfortable with just a 3, maybe you enter around the 0.5, right? Or if you're wanting more of like a, retest of downward trending momentum, roll back over, targeting the SFP of this low, that would work as well. But none of that's valid until we break structure. On the long side, what would we be interested in? Well, we'd be interested in mitigation of this area here. We'd be interested in if we are able to flip the 1 hour here, right? So close above here, then we could look for like draw your golden pocket from there, look for a golden pocket retracement for continuation on the 1 hour. There's likely a short of an SFP of this high as well. But I'm just kind of mapping out with structure what we have in front of us, because generally when they set up structure like this, you're going to get a reaction. But let's, so we broke our 15-minute bullish here. So let's mark that out. So we are currently under bullish market structure, so we wouldn't really consider any shorts yet, right? Because the 15 minutes bullish, and the 4 hours bullish, right? So you'd be kind of stepping in front of a train at that point. At the very least, you want to see the 15-minute lose this low. Now, let's see if we have any resistance above us. So it is interesting that we haven't pulled the liquidity in this high yet. So there is a lot of exit liquidity sitting up here to be taken, which, I mean, the general assumption that we'd be operating under unless we lose this strong low. So on your chart, you should have an alert here. Now, this can get SFP'd, but if it doesn't, I would expect a bearish reaction, right? So if we look at 4-hour bearish break of structure, set your alert there, and then you'll know that any sort of retrace you're looking to sell off until we break a bullish again. One area that we've been running into some issues here is going to be the daily 50 EMA, right? So we did see price get rejected from that. And a level to be aware of if we do lose 4-hour structure is going to be the 200, which conveniently, where is that? Well, it's at like 104.5, which where are we looking for a bounce? If we do have to do one more leg lower, right, it's going to be from this order block here, as we've spoken about in all the previous streams. We've been looking at this area for a long time, just like the 103.400 level. So that's still definitely an area of interest. And that's what I really see. Yeah, if you're looking for like just a continuation long, yeah, you can continue to follow structure up, right? So you kind of be getting like a 786 bounce right now. But just understand that if we close below this low, then we are likely going to move down. Or you can wait for the 1 hour to break and then look for like some sort of mitigation, right? Generally, golden pocket would be what you're looking for after that 1 hour break of structure, which would be a break of these highs. On the short side, you're looking for a break of the low, or you're looking for SFP that involves some sort of structure break to then short that back down to SFP this low at the bottom of the range. Those are kind of the few setups I see for the week. This decision demand, great area to look for a bounce. It's also the golden pocket, right? So you'd want to see like a 5-minute structure break in this area because there's like also a more interesting area lower, right? And what do we look for to take this long? We look for the same thing as with all the longs last week, right? You look for like the 5-minute structure to come down, give you some sort of entry criteria where you have your risk to reward to come back and take this high. And if we see this, I will post in the Discord because I'll be taking this trade. So if you're not in the Discord, make sure you join the Discord, pinned to the top of the chat, and come hang out with us. All right, just to make sure we covered everything, I'm going to look at the gold pair one more time. I want to see what the smaller time frames look like. Yeah, 1 hour structure is still above us. 15-minute looks about the same with the break of structure here. Yeah, not really much to cover on this. It looks about the same, just that the SFP is very attractive to me. The SFP into this key area. Okay, cool. So that's Bitcoin. Let me hop over to the chat here again. Hey, what's up, Ricky? How you doing, brother? Jillian, good to see you. Abdullah, I appreciate the kind words, man. On the Punisher? Yeah, man. Amazing weekend. I hope you had one too. Kelvin, what's going on? All right, do you guys have any more questions about Bitcoin before we move on to ETH and some altcoins? Oh, there is one more thing I wanted to cover. So if we look at the pattern that we're in on the daily, just something to be aware of. So I won't switch to the white chart for you guys. I know how y'all feel about that. Let me open up a new chart here. Okay. All right. So we kind of went over this last week, but I just want to remind you guys because this pattern is still holding firm here. So we are still in this like descending broadening wedge, right? So we are still in this descending broadening wedge pattern, and we just rejected from the top of the wedge. It's also, you know, your 15-minute 200, or sorry, your 50 EMA, 200 EMA strategy, right? Sell above, right? We're still, the good thing is we are starting to build support on this 50 EMA, which is nice, because if we are going to change trend out of this downtrend that started here, right? Structurally it started here, but you know, based on the EMA strategy, you see it here. This would be where we would need to hold out before tacking the 200 EMA again and trying to get that golden cross to give us, you know, one more push up if we are going to get that. Otherwise, we would just assume that we're going to continue lower until, as long as we're under this bearish structure. Based on an EMA understanding, right? But as long as we don't lose this low, you're 4 hours bullish. That continues to be true. So we would assume higher. Now, if we break out of this pattern, combined with the fact that we're under bullish structure, and that would be a reclaim of the range around like 112, around like this low, right? That would be a really nice setup for like a bullish week with the bullish moon and everything else going on. So definitely make sure you have this pattern drawn on your chart, on one of your layouts at least, right? This is descending broadening wedge. This is generally a bullish pattern, right? But we'll have to wait and see if we break. Cool. I will say this, out of everything that we got over, I do genuinely think that it's, as long as 4 hour structure holds, the fact that we tapped this daily order block, right, on the gold pair here, right, you see the order block that led to this move, this giant move, I do genuinely think that's very strong, right? So we tapped off that and we're getting a bounce now. So yes, I think we could get one more SFP so that it looks better on like a smaller time frame. But generally, I would consider this bullish, very bullish. Okay, cool. And let's see. Let's go over to ETH here. So ETH continues to struggle to break its 4 hour structure, right? We talked about it when we came back up here. We said, hey, ETH really needs to break this 4 hour or it does not look as good as Bitcoin. And if you've been trading this instead of Bitcoin, I mean, it's just been ripping this range. I mean, if you're range trading it, it's probably worked out nice, but you really want to see, and if you've been longing it under the 200, that's been nice too, right? But you really want to see this break 4-hour structure, which right now, since we put in a new low, well, it happened here too. No, this is still, yeah, this is still your 4-hour high. So you're still waiting for like 4,500 to break to flip market structure back bullish on the 4-hour. If that happens, I would anticipate quite a move. Now, something to keep in mind, right? Actually, that still would only leave your high here. Yeah, so it's not like they can staircase the structure unless they do something like this. And then you could have like a better RR back to the highs. But you just have to be trading within the range using like a smaller time frame, like your 1 hour. Let's see. What does our weekly look like? So we are setting a new low on the weekly, which is nice. With the way that this candle closed with these two weekly candles, once we break this high on the weekly, all right, I gotta hold on, bear with me. All right, so with the way that these two candles are setting up for a new weekly low, right? If we rotate and break this high on the weekly now, that gives us a fresh weekly low to put our stop loss under, right? So if you're, all-time high Valhalla trading for ETH, right? If you break this high, then you know that the run's likely over. If we put in bearish weekly structure, watch out, right? So we are at least putting in a nice new low on the weekly, which is good. Daily is bullish. We're kind of rounding out our bottom here, kind of testing this level, which is nice. We have like the VWAP on Market Cipher trying to push back up, like a deep momentum wave looking for a pinch. We really just need to see that 4-hour reclaim market structure. Let's see what our 12-hour structure looks like. So you break, you don't even have a 12-hour low in here. So your 12-hour low is here. Interesting. Okay, so you bounce from your 0.5 on your 12-hour, because the low is actually here, right? Because then you go back and break that high. You bounce from your 0.5. You break structure again, you bring it up here, and you're bouncing from right where we would expect you to bounce, right, between your 786 and your golden pocket. Yeah, this doesn't look too bad. I mean, just wait for 4-hour structure to be back on your side, right? And then you can just continue longing it if it wants to continue running, right? And again, that spot still hasn't changed since we charted it a while ago. It's going to be this high at like 4,500. All right, guys, if you want to look at any altcoins, you want me to look at any altcoins, you can go ahead and throw those in the chat. We can take a look at them. See if there's anything else cool. SCI and Sui, please? Yeah, we can definitely look at that. Okay. So SCI, let's look at the daily. So you break your daily structure bearish here. You correct. You come back up. You do break it bullish at the highs. Interesting. Okay, so you break it back bullish here. You retrace. Is that like an order block? You retrace back to like this 6-hour order block, then you sweep that low over the weekend. Oh wait, this is a while ago. Hold on. Okay, so let's look at 4-hour structure. So your 4-hour structure breaks back bullish here. See, this is why it's important to wait for structure breaks. But actually, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Put a low here, high, break that low. So then your 4-hour high is here. So like ETH, this still has work to do. So you want to wait for your 4-hour structure to break, and then you can always get it on mitigation after that for continuation, right? Because what do we know, guys? It's range, initiation, mitigation, continuation. So you want to see that 4-hour structure break. Likely you're going to get some sort of, just like you did here, right, on that first retest after the cross on that 200, you're likely going to get some sort of retracement out of the 200 here, probably back to the 50 would be my guess. You do have an order block here, which is nice. You have an order block here, and then you have an order block down here, which is good because you didn't mitigate everything coming down, right? Let's look at 6-hour. Yeah, same area. Still that like 30.99 area. Yeah. You want to see it break here. Now, why is that important? Right? So just like we were talking about, when you're getting on trend, which, I mean, look at the EMA situation on SEI. Like, this is still a very healthy EMA situation. Like, we're looking at a lot of coins that, like, the 50s way down here and 200s up here, right? This doesn't look bad, and we also know the daily structure broke bullish here, right? So if your daily structure breaks bullish, when you correct, you're going to zoom into lower time frames, and you're going to wait for those lower time frames to align with your trend time frame of your daily, right? So once your 4-hour breaks bullish, then you have your daily in an uptrend and your 4-hour in an uptrend, which is a good signal for when you would expect to take out that daily week high, which is up here, right? So the setup would look something like this, right? So it'd be like, take a long here, stop loss underneath the low, targeting the daily high. So you would want to get in on mitigation. It would look probably something like this, right? Waiting for a pullback. Or if we take the low, let's say, so the scenario from the beginning of the stream with Bitcoin, right? So let's say that Bitcoin has to do one more sweep lower, right, to take out the weekend lows, right? So if that happens, then you come down here, you form structure, you break this high, and then you can enter the trade like this, right? It's like a 2.21. Still, you still can wait for like a little bit of retracement. I'd like to see like at least a 2.5 to 1, right? Something like that. But generally, that would be you're still waiting for 4-hour structure to break. We mitigated this. We have mitigated everything up to like here on the way down. So it could be a pretty quick move to 34.10. If you're scalping, I would say once your 4-hour breaks, Jillian, then you can go back to scalping this like all the way up. Until then, I'd just be careful. I'd wait for Bitcoin to reveal its hand. I wouldn't really try to touch altcoins right before the Monday, but unless it's like a coin that's got really good relative strength. Okay, let's look at SUI. Let me pull up my spider line chart here. We can take a look. Okay. So we're still fighting. We're finding support on this spider line after rejecting off that one. Let's take a look at log. Okay. Let's look at our daily. We're hitting daily supply in here. I need a clean chart. Let's see. We've been talking about this for a long time. If Bitcoin's going to attack any sort of low, I still really like 308 for Sui. Like this trade is one of the trades that I am most confident about. I still really like this trade. Right now, you still want to see structure when you come down into here, right? I'd say like at least 1 hour. You want to see 1 hour structure. So like that stop loss here, targeting this high. But yeah, generally I still like 308 for Sui. Let's zoom in though. Let me get a chart that I haven't drawn all over. Okay. So on our daily for Sui, so we were talking about for a while how the 12-hour, yeah, your daily structure is still bullish since the break here, right? Because the low for this break here was down here, which we bounced from the golden pocket, right? That's why understanding structure is important, right? Understanding that this is your daily low, daily high. You take your fib tool, you're just bouncing from the golden pocket right now. Which is why sweeping and taking out everybody's stop loss who got long here and then going is very attractive to me. Okay, so we were talking about 12-hour because we know 12-hour is bearish. So you're talking about how you break your 12-hour bearish here, break your 12-hour bearish here. You come back up, you reject from your golden pocket, come back down, break the low, and now you're trying to hold out here, right? You break the low here, you don't, unfortunately you don't. It would have been nice if we set a 12-hour high here, and then also if we like had, you know, if this was like green, green, red, red, and breaks this, and then comes up, you would have a 12-hour break of market structure there to long, but we don't actually have that right now. So let's zoom in a little bit. We do, however, have 4 hour. We do have 4 hour. So you break your 4 hour bearishly here, which means that when you come back up, you break your 4 hour bullishly here. So we did have 4 hour bullish structure break. Then you come back up, you break that structure again, set a low. So your 4 hour strong low is here. So Julia, if you're long scalping, I would, or sorry Joe, if you're 4 hour, or if you're long scalping, long weekend guys, forgive me. I would be long scalping Sui over SEI right now because Sui's under 4 hour bullish structure. So that's the one I'd start with. And let's see. Coming up. Yeah, as long as 331 doesn't break, you're still bullish on the 4 hour. So whatever strategy you want to use, right? If you're using the 50 across the 200, buy underneath the 200, right? Targeting the highs, or kind of whatever strategy you want to use. Let's see what Cipher Matrix looks like here. Yeah, just buying the lows of the range in the uptrend. It looks like it's holding out on the point of control right now, which is good. I would say you're good to scalp this one, Joey. So we did reject from that supply. So we're just trying to get above here, and then we should have a pretty quick move up to 3.6. Now, what would change my mind, right? If we do break 4 hour structure, so that would be closing a 4 hour candle below this low, right? Then you can look to short right? Because your 12-hour is bearish. So if your 4-hour is bearish as well, you can likely see a move down targeting these lows for a sweep, and then hopefully we can bounce back up, right? But until 4-hour breaks bearish, I'm just expecting pullbacks to be corrections, targeting the previous week high on the 4-hour. That's what I see on CB. Yeah, that's what I got for you. Awesome. Fart? Yeah, we can look at fart. Interesting. Oh, it SFP'd. Yeah, that's what we were talking about last week. Man, would you look at that? Would you look at that? We called that pretty good. So if you guys were watching this is why market structure is so awesome, and this is why you guys can keep coming back here and you can keep seeing these same strategies play out every single week over and over again. And if you just learn market structure and apply it consistently with good risk management over a long enough time horizon, you can truly make a difference. So it's really cool to see. So what did we say last week, right? Oh, there we go. There we go. It's here. If y'all didn't believe me, there's the analysis, right? So what were we saying? We were saying that we were at this downtrending resistance. We SFP'd the high on the 4-hour. And what level were we looking for? We were looking for it to come back where to this 4-hour order block at 73 cents, which also happened to be the golden pocket. Right? Golden pocket confluence with a 4-hour order block. The level that we gave last week was 73 cents. Perfect bounce from 73 cents. Now the question is, what did we do out of that bounce, right? So did we break any structure out of that bounce? And the answer to that right now is, let's see. Not yet. Not yet, but we're close, right? So 4-hour structure is still bearish after this SFP. So this is internal structure. So maybe we should zoom into another time frame. So yeah, so we have 1 hour. Okay, cool. So we have 1 hour structure breaking bullishly out of here, which is nice. That is nice. Yeah, fart looks good. I mean, just basically, right? Anyone can do this. Draw a trend line, breaking out of that trend line, right? But more importantly than that, now it has some work to do, right? Now, what do we generally see as these bottoms kind of play out, right? Is we want to see like this 50 cross the 200. Also, side note, how cool is it that far bottomed at 69 cents? Isn't that hilarious? I think that's hilarious. If you've been following me for a while, you heard me talk about fart at 69 cents. But yeah. Yeah, we broke 1 hour, right? So we would expect this to be kind of range, initiation, mitigation, continuation. So right now, you'd be looking to take a long on fart. Now, where would you be looking? Probably your golden pocket, right? It's nice that it has confluence with this previous range that we were in, right? Because you have like your kind of type 2 Wyckoff model here, right? Breaking. Right, here's your break of structure before the third hit, right? So you have your little Wyckoff model here. You have your SOS, your backup phase, and your continuation. So on fart, I would look too long here. So around like 74.25, 74.40-ish. I would look to long it. Obviously, wait for some structural confirmation, right? You're probably good with like 3-minute time frame. 5-minute time frame, 2-minute time frame, something like that. Targeting back to these highs and then hopefully running it back up to the lows here, right? That would be nice. Or more, right? We'll see. But generally, I would be taking profit here, like 78 cents. You have a daily level there. You have an unmitigated resistance. Now, ultimately, what would we like to see for us to, like, why can we not do this yet, right? Why is our target not this? Not because it can't happen, but because there's more work to do, right? Like, you haven't flipped your 4-hour structure yet. So you'd only be aiming logically to where the logical location where it's likely to make a new low out of is, which is going to be supply, right? So if you have unmitigated supply, you would be targeting there. And if you get some sort of like 5-minute market structure break at supply, you're probably going to take most of your profit out, right? And then it'd be nice if it runs. But when can we start leaving runners? We can start leaving a runner when you have bullish 4-hour market structure, which would be FART closing a 4-hour candle above its high, right? So that's kind of what I see on FART. I think there's good signs. I like that it's breaking out of the downtrending momentum. I like that it's bouncing from the daily order block. As long as structure doesn't break here on like your 1 hour, right? So where's like my I am wrong point, right? If 4-hour market structure breaks here at like 72.65, right? Without an SFP, like an actual close below on the 4-hour, 69 cents might not be as good of a level as we thought, and maybe we got to go back down, right? That's what I see on FART. I think FART looks pretty good. Can you look at Sol? Yeah. Hey, Abdul, did you want me to look at Litecoin? I don't really understand your question. I can look at Litecoin if you want. Just let me know. I'll look at Sol real quick. All right. Sol. Let's take a look. All right, so we were talking about it breaking structure here, likely coming down to the golden pocket. We did come to the golden pocket. We swept liquidity at the golden pocket. Let's look at our 4-hour. We are still under 4-hour bullish market structure back from when we broke here, right? Because you break it bearishly here, set a low, set a high, set a low, set a high, set a low, break that high, flipping your market structure, come down to your order block here on the 4-hour, right? Come down to your order block on the 4-hour, golden pocket, confluence. Let's see. So we got to zoom in, right? So what do we know? We know our 4 hours in an uptrend. We know that our daily is in an uptrend, right? So now we're correcting on the 4-hour time frame, right? After a break. So we zoom in to get more confluence, right? So let's look at our 1 hour. 1 hour sets a low, sets a high. Sets a low, sets a high, breaks that low, bearish market structure. Sets a high, breaks that, breaks. Yeah, so here you go. So here's your 1 hour. There's your 1 hour structure break. You just retested the high. So now Sol is about to have a, Sol is about to have a 1 hour 50 crossing the 200. Also, Sol is on the 4 hours bullish, on the daily is bullish, and now on the 1 hour is also bullish. So all of you scalpers out there, this is another coin that's good to go. Good to go, right? Where are you likely to at least get some resistance, right? You got unmitigated supply here. That's about like 207, or like 208.50, right? But and then you guys know the 209 level. Now, if we can hold above 209, like I've been saying, it's gonna be a move at 224. But we're having a lot of trouble at that level. A lot of trouble. But once we can get some traction, we should be able to get a move up there. All right, so what changes my mind on Sol is going to be a 1 hour close below 199, right? Because that's your strong low on your 1 hour. As long as you don't close a strong low below 199, then we should be seeing upward action on Sol. Now, where would we expect this mitigation to come in? So it could come in at previous highs, right? How could you trade that? So on your 15-minute let's say we do bounce from previous highs here. You come back up, you break this, you could get in like this, right? That new 15-minute low. It's like a 217 to 1 to the highs. And because this is under daily and 4-hour market structure, right, you can then leave a runner on that, right? Because you would assume that it's going to continue the upward trend higher, right? Sol has already done the work to be bullish, so you can leave a runner, right? That's the difference between this and some of the other coins we looked at. So that's how you would catch it if it's going to be at previous highs, right? Otherwise, we can look for areas where we would expect to bounce, which would be like our golden pocket area, confluence with this untapped demand here, right? Which is going to be down here basically like 202-ish. Also, we have this decision block here, 382 confluence, around like 204. And how would we determine that? Do we have any structure? So the 5-minute is even still bullish here. So scalpers, you're getting a golden pocket bounce on the 5-minute, which means that you have a scalp trade to be taken. Back up to our pretty much our resistance, right? And that's just 618 to 1618, right? Yeah, there's a scalp trade active right now on Sol. But let's say that you come down, right? Let's say we got to come down here to our confluence zone. How do you trade that? So I've given you how to trade right now. I've given you how to trade a break of the high, right? The pullback, where's our 5-minute low? Our 5-minute low is here, right? So if you come down and you break that low and you put in some structure, you're looking for the break out of the key level stop loss here, targeting rotation to the highs. So that's kind of like the 4 plays that I see on Sol. No shorts on Sol unless we break 199. Why no shorts on Sol? For the exact same reason, right? Because your 4 hours bullish, your 1 hour is bullish, and your daily is bullish. So there's no reason to short that until we break like at least one hour structure. There's no reason to short it unless you're scalping, right? And that's just really your thing. Then you can take a scalp short as long as it follows your rules and you back test it and you know that you're confident in the short. But generally on market structure, there's like those other coins that we looked at that have not done the work yet. Those are way better to short than something that's under 4 hour bullish market structure, right? Like you just had your 50 to 200 crossing the 5-minute. So if you come down underneath it, you expect to get some sort of bullish reaction, right? And that's the same logic that we were talking about on the daily on Sol. If you guys have been here for a while, it's the exact same reason down here we told you to long Sol, right? It's the exact same idea. 50 crosses 200 underneath, long Sol gains, right? And 4 hour market structure, the things that we're teaching on this and a bunch of other coins is what helped us get long here on Sol, right? And here. Y'all were here for it, right? There we go. Up we go. So the 4 hour is still bullish. We would continue to assume it's going to continue to break weak highs. Awesome, guys. Yeah, let's look at Litecoin. Okay. Start with our weekly. It's been a while since I looked at this. So you break your weekly structure bullish here. There. You come back to demands. break daily out of demand here. Did you sweep that? Yeah. Ooh, okay, no. Litecoin is in an interesting spot here. Let's see if we reclaimed 4-hour. You sweep the low. So here's what I'll tell you, bro. So you got to see Litecoin clear this. You got to see Litecoin clear above 116. The same thing goes for Litecoin that goes for a lot of the coins that haven't quite done the work yet, right? So it could look good if you break this high and then mitigate and go, right? I would much rather you trade some of the coins that I've said have looked stronger right now in terms of on the long side than trade Litecoin until you break 4-hour and get your mitigation. And then you can trade it. You're just a little too early right now in terms of if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Maybe. But make it prove it to you, right? It's not that far away. I mean, what is 2%, right? Because right now you're rejecting off a spider line. And Litecoin loves its spider lines, dude. It loves them. Loves them. So, yeah. Yeah, that's what I got for you on Litecoin, man. I would say wait for it to break 4-hour market structure. Otherwise, I mean, a short would look nice, right? So since we're under bearish structure on the 4-hour, if we break, so we broke 15-minute bearish here. Oh, this short might already be playing out now. Yeah, the short was up here. Yeah, the short was here. So where would we have targeted on that short? So TP1 obviously would be the lows here. I would say likely this decision block here. Yeah, I would say if you get some structure into like 113-ish, really 112-ish would be more interesting to me. You can look down there. You can scalp short this down to these levels, unless you break this high. And then you just be watching 15-minute market structure for a break, and that would be your indication to exit your short. Yeah, that's what I see. That's what I see, man. I wouldn't get too bullish on Litecoin until you break 116.33. What are spider lines? They're just trend lines, just macro trend lines. So for example, on Litecoin, my Litecoin chart's a bit of a spider web. I can give you a better example. Alright, so this would be an example of spider lines, right? It's just taking weekly pivots and connecting it to like the first candle that they touch, right? And then it's just trend lines that the price reacts from. I do that a lot of coins. Like that's what you always see on my my Bitcoin chart are, right? These. It's just trend lines. All right. Yeah, it's like macro trend lines because it looks like a spider web. Yeah. All right, awesome, guys. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so happy to have this community growing. I'm so happy we got to celebrate 400 subscribers together last week. The journey goes on. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend like I did. Much love. Trade safe. Wave Cipher out. You guys have a great one.